make this quick. Thank goodness, like everyone's cheering right now in the webinar. So modern search is now customizable. So the key thing is, before this has been locked down to us, if you want to use refiners and customize the search experience, you have to stay classic. We can now go to modern and we can build our own modern search pages, fully extensible, open source, we can build them. The key indicator on whether this is available to you or not is if that search bar is in the suite bar at the very top of your Office 365 subscription. Once that bar is up there, we can hijack the search box, send it to a custom search results page, and go from there. Next. Here's examples. We have connectors. So here's an example of us pulling in data from like ServiceNow. There's other views where we can automate the display template, showing contact info. It's highly extensible. It's really what we were able to do before, we can now do in modern. And I think for the biggest thing for a lot of our clients that have held on to classic search, they've held on to it because of the refiners in search. We can now do those refiners in modern. All right, SharePoint updated term store. This is coming. If you don't know what the term store is, think of this as your organization's taxonomy. These are classification types across the entire ecosystem that can be consumed within SharePoint. And we're getting a new updated UI for the term store. This in itself is a value add, but this is actually tied to a bigger conversation, which I'll touch briefly a little bit later, which is Project Cortex is coming. And I'll talk about Project Cortex, but this supports Cortex. Mover, we already know this, Microsoft purchased Mover, is now available worldwide. We have done multiple migrations with Mover. One of the things that a lot of our clients don't realize is Mover actually has sync capabilities. So we can actually do Delta syncs with Mover, and it's a free product from Microsoft, will help us migrate from file shares to on-prem or even within a tenant. So really, really cool free add by Microsoft. All right, I talked about this briefly earlier, information protection and governance. This is the security and the compliance aspect of SharePoint and your data. Think of it this way, if I had to classify or if I had to summarize this, this is all about sensitivity labeling and retention policies, right? We can secure records within your tenant. We can classify them as a record, and we can set rules and policies around retainment, review, and disposal of records. This leverages, we have some scanning capabilities where we can leverage machine learning capabilities and auto classify content within your ecosystem, and then ultimately have audit trails around records and content. This is a really, really in-depth but very powerful conversation when we talk about securing our content, specifying information as records, and handling them appropriately when it comes to keeping them for a longevity of time, but also about auto deletion, so we can meet those requirements and legal obligations that so many of us have to follow. Here's an example of information protection. Like, really talk about this from a SharePoint perspective, but like I alluded to earlier, this integrates into the ecosystem. So in this example, I can go into a PowerPoint and actually classify the sensitivity of this document, and I can inject watermarks, headers, and footers based on the sensitivity labels. And the little screenshot here towards the bottom left, here's the sensitivity level around provisioning a team. If I specify the team as a project, guess what? It can't be public, it can't be org-wide, and then it applies a number of settings within the provisioning process of teams as well. All right, future things coming. Headers are changing in SharePoint. We're getting analytics on hub sites. Microsoft Lists, which is kind of like a quasi new app kind of capability, and Project Cortex. And I'll just touch on them just really briefly, just to show you guys some eye candy. So the first off, Lists is getting really, really powerful. And I'm really excited about this. So we have the capability of a very rich UI. Microsoft is providing a number of templates and capabilities and built-in integration into Teams and from SharePoint, and you can provision these new lists from either ecosystem. The second thing, and here's an example of like a powerful list, the new lists coming. This is future stuff, so but I want to put on people's radar that we're getting this capability. The other thing that's really powerful that you need to really keep your eyes on is Project Cortex. This is Microsoft's approach in the space of knowledge management and building knowledge repositories. And what's really critical about this is in the past, we talked about taxonomies and the power of taxonomy to classify data, to find it, and to use it for like sensitivity purposes. The problem was you had to tag content. That's the number one Achilles heel on all of these projects is it's really powerful data, but oh, when someone uploads a document, they're gonna have to fill out all this content. Well, with Project Cortex, that's changing. Microsoft is using machine learning and their artificial intelligence, so then that way when we upload documents into SharePoint, into Teams, or actually even when you're seeing documents from within Outlook, it is actually auto-classifying content. We're getting interactive cards, glossaries, it'll improve search, the taxonomy will be greatly improved, and then we have these rules and models that we can build to auto-classify content. This is, in my opinion, a major game changer in the space of knowledge management and information architecture. And stay tuned, continue to come to these tech updates because this is on its way, and we'll keep you guys updated through our newsletter, but also through these future tech updates as well.